Hi guys, I'm gonna be reviewing a video called "A 52-year-old millionaire shares controversial life advice."
Today I'm in Toronto, Canada, interviewing 52-year-old George Strombolopoulos, one of the most interesting people I've ever met, who seems to have figured out the secrets to a very happy life.
Ooh, wow, interesting.
George is a Canadian media personality, one of the original influencers of our time who got started on much media. His career path since then has been nothing short of different from the traditional path. George does what he wants, when he wants, and everybody seems to love him.
Nobody in the system does whatever he wants to when he wants to. Come on.
Today with questions unlike any interview he's ever done, and he's done a lot. I'm sharing the extended conversation of some of his greatest life lessons and experiences that I think will change the way you go about life. How old are you?
Wow.
52. Can't believe it. I can't believe that happened.
What does it feel like to be 52? Doesn't feel like anything.
It feels the same as I felt when I was 18. Life to me is about how close to the real you are you living. And I have the same energy level now that I had then. I have the same ferocity now that I had then. I have the same...
It doesn't seem like it at all, except if you were always kind of lethargic.
desires.
Would you say most people who are around your age feel that way?
No,
Well, yeah, the desires don't really change for the most part. It's just human nature.
think a lot of people panic when they get older. I think a lot of people live...
The only people who panic when they get older, not the only, but for the most part, are the ones who don't have children. Otherwise, why would you panic if you did what you were naturally supposed to? You're all good to go.
a version of their life, and I don't. I live my life. And I think when you live a version of your life, you can see opportunities slipping away. You can see things change. You don't know how to adapt to it because you're separate from it. There are a lot of bad actors and outside forces trying to make sure we're not nearly as connected to the real world as possible. I think there's this idea that if life...
That's really funny because what is the real world? What is the world? The world is an illusion. So how can you be in the real illusion?
If doesn't turn out the way you...
I know what he meant, by the way, but still, it's stupid.
What is a big failure or a mistake that you experienced at one point in your life that you would say changed the trajectory?
I'm pretty reckless. I made some really stupid health choices. I had one pretty significant motorcycle accident that rewired my brain. And the mistake I made was I left the emergency room and I went right to work. And I did my show with broken bones and no painkillers. And I did it because I was stupid and thought, I'm not missing the show. And working through that wrecked me.
Yeah, that's called being a slave. Your work was more important to you, or what people think about you, meaning that you're weak and insecure, than your own health.
I'm not the same person because of it. My brain broke, my body broke, and I can still feel the ramifications of...
Yeah.
So that's a big mistake I made. That was just dumb guy. You know, I'm going to work through it. Dumb, right? And so I can barely lift my arm now. There's a lot of things I can't do. I focused more on what I was doing and less on my health, and that was a huge mistake.
What is the takeaway there if you're looking back on that?
Everybody says that there's no guidebook to life, and it's not true. There's totally a guidebook to life. All you have to do is talk to every old person ever. They'll pretty much all say the same thing, as long as you have your health. They all say it.
Yeah.
Like everybody, in every language, everywhere. As long as you have your health. And what do we...
That's pretty interesting, yeah. And people don't focus on their health at all today. They destroy their health in their 20s and 30s, and then they start complaining in their 40s, 50s about all the health issues that they have.
We do. Spend the first half of our lives making sure that it's an uphill climb the whole way. And my big takeaway is anybody who quits anything and makes their full-time job their health, I think they're winning. I think they're smarter than the rest of us.
Yeah, because a lot of old people...
Okay, I agree with him.
I never try to prove anything to anybody. I don't care. I don't care.
Why do you not care? Where does that come from?
I don't know. I think maybe it's because in my family, no one cared what I did for a living. No one ever talked about it. No one asked me what I wanted to do for a living. I come from a family where we don't have careers. We have jobs. I come from a family where what you did for a living had no bearing on what kind of person you were. Like none.
Yeah.
I was raised by a single mother. My mother's whole thing was be humble, live a good life, be kind to people, and go to heaven. I can give her 3 of the 4. I can't give her the last one. So I don't place any value on what I do for a living, if I'm being honest with you. I feel no sense of accomplishment ever. I have no pride in my work. None of that. I never did.
It's very interesting what his mother said, because when you do that, your life is hell. Then, of course, there is no actual heaven afterwards. So your whole life is hell when you live like that. Instead of being in heaven in this life right now, and doing the opposite essentially.
I want to do a great job and I want to be the best at a thing, but that's just because if you're going to do it, be like Mike, right? Be the best at the thing. But maybe not growing up feeling the pressure to achieve anything except for be a good person. Well, I think maybe that's probably on a cellular level why I don't feel the need to prove anything. I'm not governed by fear. I don't care if I fail at a thing.
Being a good person is the definition of living in fear. It's you being a good slave, obeying the rules. That's what it means.
How you apply that for yourself is, okay, can I create a space where people feel a little bit better than they did this morning? So that to me is like, that's my assignment. So I haven't figured life out, but I figured my assignment out. And I think that's kind of the same thing. So to me, what is life? No, I don't know. But what is my assignment? And this is my assignment. And it could change. I don't think it has
Your assignment is what you're naturally supposed to do.
to be one thing. But it's been this thing for a while, and I quite like the thing.
You said you're not living a version of your life. You're living your life.
Yeah,
a
well,
lot of
that's, yeah.
And a lot of people are living a version. If I was living a version of my life and I wanted to live more or less my life, what would be your practical advice to do that?
I don't know that there's one piece of advice. I think that I chose not to have kids. I chose not.
Oh my god. And then he says, I chose not to get married. Marriage has nothing to do with having children. Marriage doesn't even exist. It's all in your head. But he says that he's living his life while not having children. That is a version, it's a fake life. Because your body, once you become a man, screams for you to have children. Same with women. That's all that you want all the time. That's why you want to reproduce constantly. So this makes no sense whatsoever.
To get married. So I have no obligations in that respect. But I made the choice.
Yeah, no happiness, more so, yeah. That's why you can tell that there's just nothing. And think about it, the way he talks. Yeah, I have life figured out, and I have these undry bags, I'm completely lethargic, exhausted. Yeah, I have it all figured out. It's fucking just depression and misery screaming through his soul.
So I don't complain about the fact that this is my life.
Also the sad music in the background. Yeah, life is so painful.
I don't try to fit into another version. So what I did was I looked at the choices I made and I go, okay, I'll make the most of this experience. Like people think, oh, living your real life is chasing your dream. No, you made a choice. Now you have family. Now you have obligations. It's different. You don't get to just go, eat.
What does he mean by obligations when you have a family exactly? Would love for him to explain that.
Pray, love, and abandon your family. You don't get to do that. You can, but you don't.
Yeah, but you wouldn't want to. You don't have children, so you don't get it. You do everything for your children. Living with your children, having your children around you, is like better than your own life, if that makes any sense. It's the best kind of life. Having your children in everyday life all around you, there's no better feeling on earth. It is not something that you would ever abandon anyway. Like, the fact that he says that shows you how removed from reality he actually is.
Get to. You have an obligation now.
It's different if you have a crazy wife and you want a divorce and whatever. That's a whole different topic.
And you have to own your obligation, and I believe in that.
Do you regret that?
No,
No marriage, no kids?
Oh God, no. Oh no, Mike. Oh,
Yeah,
no,
but
Mike.
he cannot even regret it or not regret it, really, because he hasn't experienced it. You cannot talk about children if you don't have children. It's impossible. It's like a kid grows up vegetarian, never had meat in his life, and then you go and say to somebody, I don't regret not eating meat, or meat doesn't taste good anyway, so I don't even want it, even though you never even experienced it. Same exact thing. On the last video which I made about the single guy who was completely delusional with his dogs, there were some people who said, yeah, it's more peaceful and better without children. Then I asked them, do you have children? No. So how do you know? You have no idea. Because everybody who has children, every father especially out there, he knows right away it's the best feeling on earth. When you hold your baby, or later on when they say dada and they hug you and everything, best feeling on earth. You have no idea what you're talking about. You cannot tell anybody not to have children because you just don't know.
That's the second best, maybe the best decision ever. I quit drinking 30
What would
years.
be the first one?
I quit drinking like 30 years ago. 30 years ago this week. Went up the stairs. But thank you. Quitting drinking, I think, is the best decision I ever made in my life. Not having.
Yeah, he does seem like an alcoholic, yeah. And one of the reasons why people become alcoholics is also when they don't have children or are unhappy in some way. So he was unhappy because a happy human being doesn't drink alcohol. They don't poison themselves, because you poison yourself when you feel miserable and you just want to destroy your life, essentially. That's why he looks kind of sick and exhausted.
Having kids is right up there, and also being.
Wait, having kids is where right up there? I gotta go back. I need to understand what he means.
Quitting drinking, I think, is the best decision I ever made in my life. Not having kids is right up there.
Wow, he actually said that quitting drinking is like not having kids. It's the same thing, essentially. What the fuck, man? You experienced alcohol, you knew how bad it is, which is why you quit. You never experienced children. It's like saying blood and liver is bad for you without ever experiencing it, without ever consuming it, and then you say it's the best decision I ever made to never drink blood or eat liver. It's the same thing. It's so dumb.
And also being very conscious about trying to be joyful. That's hard to do every day.
But you're not joyful whatsoever, man.
That's work. That's like you have to be diligent about that too. Very, very diligent. Your brain doesn't want you.
Yeah.
Your brain just wants protection. Yeah. I ignore my brain all the time. I live in the places my brain doesn't
Yeah, exactly. That's what you did. Yeah, exactly.
want me to be. If I was drinking, I think it would be more fun short term.
Yeah.
But then I would be dead. And so I don't.
How is drinking fun? It tastes horrible. It's literally poison. And then you throw up because you throw up the poison afterwards. I don't get it.
Want that either, you know. Although I could.
Oh, actually, what he's saying is also that being brain damaged, essentially, which is kind of what alcohol does to you, and then you're not living your real life. You're suppressing, repressing what you actually want. Then it's better. So it's better to live in a different reality, in this different version, which he said he doesn't even do. Oh, super contradictory. Crazy guy.
Not too many people in their 50s chose not to be married. Yeah. But for you, can you define the word love?
Am I that rare? Is it that rare? To be.
Yeah, but you gotta understand that marriage has nothing to do with love. Marriage is just some contract that you sign. It's just an idea in your head. What does love have to do with it? Love is biochemical. It's what you feel when you're really attracted to somebody and want to reproduce with them. The guy's in his 50s already. Maybe he just never experienced it. That's actually very likely.
Really? Based on who?
I'm just saying, he said that it's as if he chose not to have kids. It's probably the other way around. Nobody chose to have kids with him.
Interesting. Definitely not the only one. Like I can probably count like 25, 30 people, but just in percentage wise, yeah.
Wow. What is love? I think love is wildly overrated.
Oh my god, yeah, exactly. Yeah, he just never experienced it. Fuck, that's sad.
We walk around like it's $100 bill when it's really just a loanie. Like, so I think love's important, but I think
Oh wow, so what is he saying? That women just left him and never cared about him? Exactly. Fuck, this is sad.
actions are more important. What do you do with that love? I interviewed this great author, Umberto Eco, a great author about Umberto Eco, and I asked him, we talked about love, and he said, love is selfish. Love is selfish. Love is, I just, if I love you, I want just you for me. He goes, hate's generous, right? So to me, love is just, it's just a word people throw around. I only really care.
Well, you want to reproduce with a human and they want to reproduce with you. That's what love is. It's intimacy, reproduction. It's when you find somebody attractive. Of course, it's selfish, but it's designed to be like that naturally. And it's also selfish from their side. And that's when both sides connect, literally.
About it, if it's married to an action. Are you creating an opportunity or a space or a place for somebody to have a better version of their life? That's love to me.
If I was trying to figure my life out or put it back together, what is a question that you would recommend I ask myself to get a little closer to that?
What do you want? Like, what do you actually want? Write that down. Not every choice you make is going to get you closer to what you want.
You're not even gonna dare to write down what you actually want because you will be afraid that somebody may see it. What you actually want is only here. You think about it a lot, but you never say it out loud.
If I'm for reference, I'm 25. Yeah. If I wanted to be 52 and satisfied with my life, living my life, not a version of my life, what would be your advice looking back for someone who is at that point at that stage.
What I would do
Wow, he's 25. He looks like he's in his 30s, more like 35.
is take real stock of why you act the way you act. Identify which parts of that you want to change. Identify your grievances. The line that I say to myself and some of my friends is, you're much stronger and more resilient than you think you are, but you're not strong enough to combat what they need from you in this modern life. So find that line and hold the line.
If you could give anyone who's listening to this, these are people of all ages from all over the world, just people who are trying to live a more fulfilling life, whatever that means. One piece of advice, what would you say?
Surround yourself with amazing people. If you surround yourself with amazing people, oh my God, this experience is so much more beautiful.
Yeah, easier said than done. If you're not amazing yourself biologically, amazing people will not want to be around you. Yeah.
It's so much more beautiful.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Let's be real, this guy is a loser. He didn't achieve anything in his life. He doesn't have children. Maybe he doesn't even really have anybody around him. No family, obviously, but maybe also not really any actual real friends. He seems really miserable. And before you say, oh, but he's a millionaire. No, he isn't. Can you be a millionaire? That's impossible. Can you be a billionaire? Can you be poor or rich? No, you cannot be. You can only be a human being who applies value to some paper with symbols on it or some symbols in your bank account. And then you imagine that those symbols have value, a meaning, and then you believe that you're a millionaire. In reality, naturally, he's one of the poorest people on earth as far as biology goes and his actual accomplishments in life. If there would be anything such as a poor or a rich guy or girl, then if you would look at it from nature's perspective, he would be very poor. People in general live in an illusion today. That's why they believe that there are millionaires and whatnot. They just all imagine their lives. For the most part, he was just blabbering nonsense. Really, it did not make much sense. He didn't give any examples or arguments or really any reasoning for doing this or that, for why you should listen to yourself and whatnot. It's just all of these things that people say who don't really have anything to say. The way they talk is very abstract. You cannot really understand what they're talking about because they don't give examples. Whereas when I always talk about a topic, I always give examples specifically so that people understand what exactly I'm talking about. So if I give some kind of advice and it's not clear what I'm talking about, I give examples, many examples, and then people get, oh, okay, I understand now. This is how I can apply this advice to my life. Whereas he just talked absolute nonsense throughout the whole video. He did say that he didn't have children, and it's the same as giving up alcohol. So the opposite of the reality. Fuck. Totally lost guy, super miserable, awful life. I feel bad for him. Thanks for watching.